Alright, we're finally talking about Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 again. It's been a while, but I'm really excited to talk about this rumor because we haven't really gotten a lot of information since the trailer came out last summer, so it's almost been a year since we've really gotten anything concrete. And not that this is concrete, it is still just a rumor, but it's really one of the more credible rumors that we've got so far, so that is why I wanted to cover it and read through it and give some of my thoughts and opinions about it. As usual for a story like this, let me just emphatically draw your attention to that first word in the title, rumor. With that in mind, a Reddit post has emerged with alleged new details of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel said to be taken from the Twitch stream of Tyler McVicker, who maintains the Valve News Network YouTube channel. True to its name, that channel provides news and leaks on Valve projects, but McVicker apparently claims knowledge of projects beyond Valve, including the Breath of the Wild sequel. So with this in mind, this rumor is a little bit more credible in my opinion because over the last year, the only real rumors we have seen have popped up on 4chan, and those we know aren't as credible, so that is why I wanted to read through this rumor. So this is just a summary here, but we're going to actually read the direct rumor because I want to get it right from the source here. Unlike the first part, the game will be linear at the beginning. Canonically, Link already knows Hyrule, so there is no point in climbing the towers again. So this is really interesting because I've been saying since Breath of the Wild came out that I actually wanted the next Zelda game to be more linear, and I got a lot of flack for that. So again, I'm not saying I want them to now flip back and just give us a straight linear Zelda game like Skyward Sword was, but Skyward Sword actually, in my opinion, has the best story in any Zelda game. So I really want them to provide us with a more linear experience somewhat, so that way we can have a more immersive story. So I like that it's only going to be at the very beginning of the game, so that makes sense. So they'll kind of start teaching us things and then open up the game. So I think that is fine. So I don't think we should worry about it being too linear. Moving on here, instead the developers have filled the world with a miasmic version of Ganon, and until the infection is cleared from the location to location, it will be impossible to move around the entire Hyrule. So yeah, again, that is what we were talking about. It makes sense. And Ganon pretty much in Breath of the Wild already has that miasmic form. You can see it swirling around the Hyrule Castle, as well as in the Breath of the Wild sequel trailer that we had at E3 last year. You can see his malice sort of spreading out in the cave where Link and Zelda are exploring. So I like this idea. It also reminds me a lot of how Twilight Princess worked with the Twilight Realms, where each section of Hyrule was sort of blocked off by the Twilight Realm, and you had to cleanse that area before you could go further into it. So I like this idea. It's a good way to keep the openness of Breath of the Wild, but make it more linear, at least at the start, to tailor us and force us to go at least somewhat in a particular region of the map so that the story can be a little bit more immersive. I'm really hoping that that's what they're trying to get at here. Alright, so going on here, in this regard, the locations are worked out much deeper than in the original. At the very least, McVicker hints at appearance of dungeons strongly inspired by one game that knows a lot about spreading dungeons around the open world. In general, while designing the world of Breath of the Wild 2, developers were inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2, officially known, and another unknown game. First thing, dungeons. I think that was a given. That's one of the most requested fan things that was missing in Breath of the Wild, was bigger dungeons, more traditional dungeons. The Divine Beasts were very cool. I liked how they worked. I think being able to control parts of the dungeon and turn them to manipulate it was actually a fantastic feature. But as far as traditional dungeons go, Breath of the Wild really lacked. One of the best dungeons per se, in my opinion, was the Master Sword Trial, so I really want to see more stuff like that. Again, if they add dungeons, it doesn't mean that they can't switch it up. Yeah, maybe they'll have some more traditional things, and maybe we'll even still have shrines to some effect, but they can sort of try and mash some new idea together between those and give us a brand new dungeon that we've never seen. Also, it's saying it's strongly inspired by one game that knows a lot about spreading dungeons around the open world. Could that be Skyrim? I know Breath of the Wild, the original game, was inspired by Skyrim, but I'm not really sure what other game they could be talking about here. What do you guys think? Then they also say Red Dead Redemption 2. Again, we already knew that. I really hope they also draw some of the crafting aspects from Red Dead Redemption, because that was a big thing for me that was missing in Breath of the Wild, was a full crafting system. But it's saying that they're drawing inspiration for the world design from Red Dead 2 and from some other game. So that's very interesting. I've never played a Red Dead Redemption game, so what do you guys think that they could take from the world building in that? I honestly haven't seen enough gameplay to really have any say on that. So what do you guys think? And also, what other game could they be using to sort of help them build their world? This is all so interesting. It's such a small little piece of information, but there's so much to talk about here. And I didn't want to go too in depth here because I've already done a huge Breath of the Wild 2 theory video, which you guys can check out. I'll put a card right here. But go check that out. I think a lot of my thoughts are still basically the same since then, even though that was last June, because this is really the only real substantial piece of new information that we've had since then. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about all this, and I'll see you in the next video.